My cousin stood up at my wedding reception and declared, "I have a confession, this wedding is a shame because I'm in love with the groom." The groom's mic drop response left her running out of the venue in tears. I never expected my wedding to turn into a live soap opera, but that's exactly what happened. Everything was going perfectly. The ceremony was beautiful, the weather was amazing, and for once, my family wasn't fighting. I had just married the love of my life, Daniel, and we were at the reception, celebrating with everyone we cared about. Then my cousin Sophie stood up, and in front of everyone, she ruined everything. She raised her champagne glass, cleared her throat, and said, "I have a confession." The room went silent. She took a deep breath, her hands shaking, and then said the words that flipped my entire wedding upside down. "This wedding is a sham because I'm in love with the groom." Gasps. Murmurs. A few people actually laughed like they thought she was joking. She wasn't. I felt like my stomach had been ripped out of my body. My hands went cold, my face went hot, and my brain couldn't process what was happening. Sophie wasn't finished. She turned to Daniel, eyes full of emotion, and kept talking. "I know this is crazy, but I can't hold it in anymore." She looked at Daniel like she actually expected him to say something. Like he was supposed to suddenly realize she was right. Then Daniel stood up. And his response changed everything. For a second, no one moved. The only sound in the entire reception hall was the faint clinking of glasses as someone, somewhere, nervously set their drink down. Then Daniel stood up, his expression unreadable. He reached for the microphone, and my heart pounded so hard I could feel it in my throat. I had no idea what he was about to say. I knew he loved me. I knew we had a strong relationship. But this was something I never thought we'd have to deal with, especially on our wedding day. Daniel took a slow breath, then looked Sophie dead in the eyes. "Sophie," he said, his voice calm but firm. "I don't know what kind of fantasy you've been living in, but I have never, not once, thought of you that way." Sophie flinched like he had physically slapped her. The murmurs in the crowd grew louder. People were whispering, exchanging shocked glances, but Daniel wasn't done. "I love my wife." He turned toward me, and his expression softened. "I have only ever loved my wife. And whatever you think happened between us, it was all in your head." Sophie let out this weird, breathy laugh, like she couldn't believe what she was hearing. "Daniel, please," she said, shaking her head. "I know you. I know you don't love her the way you love me. You're just scared to admit it." I saw red. I stood up so fast my chair scraped against the floor. "Are you serious right now?" My voice came out sharper than I intended, but I didn't care. "You're making a fool of yourself. Just stop." Sophie turned to me, her face twisted with something I couldn't even describe. "You don't understand, do you?" Her voice was thick with frustration. "You were never supposed to be with him." The room was dead silent. And then, from the head table, my maid of honor, Rachel, let out a sharp, humorless laugh. "Oh my God," she muttered. "She's lost her damn mind." That was all it took. Someone in the crowd snorted. A few more people started whispering. And suddenly, the tension in the room shifted, people weren't shocked anymore. They were embarrassed for her. Sophie realized it too. Her face turned bright red, and her eyes darted around like she was just now processing how insane she sounded. Daniel sighed, rubbing his temple like he was dealing with a particularly frustrating child. "Sophie, I'm not going to do this with you." He gestured to the crowd. "We're at my wedding. To the woman I love. You need to leave." Sophie's eyes welled up with tears. "I didn't mean, leave," I said, my voice steady. She opened her mouth again, but nothing came out. Then, without another word, she turned and bolted out of the venue, nearly knocking over a waiter on her way out. For a second, no one knew what to do. Then Rachel picked up her glass and said, "Well, that was a thing." Laughter rippled through the crowd. Just like that, the tension broke, and people started talking again. But something in my gut told me this wasn't over. And I was right. Because what Sophie did next was even worse. I thought that was the end of it. I hoped it was. Sophie had humiliated herself in front of 100 people, Daniel had shut her down completely, and she had run out in tears. The wedding moved on. The music started up again, people started drinking, and after a few awkward minutes, the energy in the room slowly returned to what it had been before the disaster. But something felt off. I could feel it in my chest, a heavy, nagging sense of unease. Like something was lurking just out of sight, waiting to strike. I was right. Because Sophie wasn't done. About an hour later, I was in the middle of talking to my aunt when Rachel ran up to me, breathless. "Have you seen Daniel?" she asked. I frowned. "What do you mean?" "He's probably with his groomsmen." Rachel shook her head. "No, he's not. I checked. No one knows where he is. He just disappeared." A chill ran down my spine. Daniel wasn't the kind of guy to just vanish, especially in the middle of our own wedding reception. I pulled out my phone and texted him. No response. I tried calling. It rang. Once. Twice. Then, voicemail. Something was very wrong. I didn't want to panic. Not yet. Sophie, what the hell is wrong with you? Sophie just kept crying, rocking back and forth in the driver's seat like she was the victim. I just wanted him to listen. No one ever listens to me. Her mom yanked open the door, grabbed her arm, and dragged her out of the car. You have embarrassed this family enough for one night. At that point, I was shaking with adrenaline, my hands clenched so tight my nails dug into my palms. Daniel stepped next to me, his hand firm on my back. I am done with this, he said, his voice like steel. We're leaving. We're going back inside, and we are going to enjoy our wedding. Sophie, I never want to see you again. Sophie's face crumpled. Then she whispered, you'll regret this. And that was the moment I realized, this wasn't over. I wanted to believe Sophie was done. That her humiliating public confession and her failed attempted husband napping would be enough to shut her down for good. But people like Sophie don't know when to stop. And she was about to make her biggest mistake yet. After the wedding, Daniel and I packed our bags and flew to Maui for our honeymoon. It was supposed to be perfect, sun, beaches, no drama. For the first 2 days, it was. Then, on the third morning, Daniel's phone buzzed. He picked it up, frowned, and turned the screen toward me. It was an email. From his boss. And attached to it, screenshots of a chain of messages Sophie had sent to his entire office. She had emailed his CEO, co-workers, and even the HR department, claiming that Daniel had been having an affair with her for years. That he had been forced into marrying me. That he was planning to divorce me the second we got back from the honeymoon. She even included fake screenshots of text messages between them. Daniel's boss wrote, I don't know what this is about, but I figured you should see it. Let us know if you need to take action. My hands were shaking with rage. This wasn't just drama anymore. Sophie had gone out of her way to try and destroy Daniel's reputation. If his company had actually believed her, this could have ruined his career. But here's where Sophie messed up. Because Daniel's company, they don't play around. Daniel immediately called his boss and explained everything. He didn't even have to try very hard, his boss had been at our wedding. He had seen Sophie's meltdown firsthand. Sophie is no longer part of our lives. She tried reaching out once, but Daniel and I both blocked her on everything. Last I heard, she moved out of state to live with some distant cousin who barely tolerates her. She's working a miserable job that's beneath her standards, and for the first time in her life, she's actually facing consequences. As for Daniel and me, we're happier than ever. Our marriage is strong. We just bought a house. And every now and then, when we're drinking wine on our porch, one of us will turn to the other and say, hey, remember when your cousin tried to kidnap me at our wedding? And we laugh and laugh.